So before we stain our fence, if we have an existing fence like this beautiful fence right here that we're getting ready to try and gently bring back to life. So the first thing we're going to try and do is we're going to pressure wash that, and then we're going to compare that to an alternative that will actually probably make your fence look even better and prepare it better to accept the stain. This will be a couple different ways you can clean your fence to get ready for stain, one of them being a lot easier than the other. I don't know what kind of pressure washer this is. This is just some nondescript pressure washer. The most important thing is it does say Honda on the front. That's all that matters, really. Go for it. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm simply an observer. Don't go too fast. Go nice and slow and try and get it really good. So we've started out with the oscillating tip, and he's gonna change it out for a little bit more aggressive tip and show you what that looks like. I really don't know what to expect. What tip is that? That one looks... Is that the medium? So some of the problems he's having already is that the spray, if he's not very consistent, we're getting all these lines and stuff in the buildup. I really actually like the oscillating tip a lot more than I like the fan tips. He's using a 25-degree fan tip right now, and I don't really love the way it's turning out. I feel like it's leaving more marks, and that stuff's gonna be pretty unsightly if you're using a transparent or even semi-transparent stain. Something to think about. I don't think we're gonna love the look of this. We'll go back over it with the oscillating tip and we'll see if that changes the way it looks at all and help blend some of that stuff in. The other thing we don't want is we don't want to damage the wood. And when we're pressure washing, we're using a lot of pressure to get all that nasty grime and stuff, all the mildew and mold and things like that off of the wood. And it's actually damaging the fibers quite a lot. Probably about 10 minutes for this one little section on one side of the fence. If you'll notice, this is one of the things to be aware of, is that we are literally blasting all this stuff off the top of the fence. All these fibers and stuff are being raised. You can see all this slime and stuff when we do that. Splinters, and this basically just ripping some of this wood, the surface wood, off to get to that fresh stuff underneath. And the other thing is that if we stay anywhere for even just a fraction too long, which is why I like the oscillating a little bit better, it is going to leave that mark where we can see a little bit of a discoloration difference between where we stayed a little longer and where we had better distribution of our water. So it is kind of a abrasive, aggressive process that we're doing when we pressure wash a fence. And that's one way to do it. Now we're going to hopefully show you something that may be better and easier. So as you can see, we spent the extra money and got the name brand. Okay, this is just generic bleach. This is nothing special. You can go to any store and get it. But the most important thing to do is to look at the concentration of the bleach. And this is 7.5%. Based on my knowledge, I'm gonna guess that we need about a 1-to-1 ratio, but I'm gonna start off a little lighter than that. I'm going to start off with like a 1-to-2 ratio, 1 part bleach, 2 parts water, and we're gonna mix them in this spray pump. If that doesn't do the job for us, then we can actually double up the bleach and go to a 1-to-1 ratio, which is where I think we're gonna be. Another option that you can use if you live in a different area, pool shock, which is basically highly concentrated bleach. If you have liquid pool shock in your area at the pool companies, you can actually use that, and it may be cheaper than using this because it may be double the concentration of this. If that was the case, probably the recommended ratio is gonna be about 1-to-4, but you're gonna wanna test that until you get it just right. Start light and then increase it maybe a cup at a time until you get that right mixture to basically clean off any mold, mildew, and staining that you may have on your fence prior to your stain project. Today, all we're gonna do to use this method is put it in a pump sprayer. You could use a backpack sprayer, a wand sprayer. DeWalt, Milwaukee, and Cobalt, I believe, are all now making battery-powered sprayers. That's a really nice way to go. If you just don't want to have to keep pumping this thing up and you've got a lot of fence to do, I would probably recommend spending the couple $100 that it's going to take to buy one of those and using that, because pumping one of these is not a lot of fun. I'm a huge fan of DeWalt. Just, I don't know, it's what we've always had available in our small town. Milwaukee's become more available, but DeWalt's kind of where we're at. So, I mean, don't hate on me too much. I think we're gonna need more. Let's double up. Let's go some more. And I don't know if I told you guys, there's very few things in life that I absolutely loathe. I mean loathe. And bleach is one of those things. I cannot stand the smell of bleach. It is the worst thing in the world to me. So bad, so bad. Before we did this, we actually did wet the bottom of the fence. That's a decent idea. Put some extra water in there to make sure that you're diluting that bleach as it hits the ground. You may kill a little bit of grass right there or whatever vegetation may be there, so be aware of that. For me, I don't like weed eating up next to my fence anyhow, so we actually spray that and try and keep it dead anyhow, so. Oh, it smells so bad. It's on my hands. This fence is really old and really water stained as well. I think we're gonna see a difference in how the wood that is not water stained and mineral stained is going to clean versus the stuff that is. We have a lot of really heavy minerals in our water, and this is off of a well. So all these white spots, what you're seeing is all the minerals being deposited on the fence. This is gonna be harder to clean than this, especially with the wand. So we'll see how well each one does. And then over here, we can see at some point in time, somebody tried to actually stain this, so that is not gonna take that off. There is nothing other than pressure washing or scraping that is gonna take any of this extra stain off over here. It's not a miracle, but it can work wonders. This fence is in about as rough a shape as they get for Wyoming. Florida, we would have seen a lot more moss and mold and mildew. You can see the coloration of that stuff just rolling down. And then there you can see all the marks come through from all the screws. Yeah, this one's gonna be difficult for sure. Oh, ah, right in the face. It's all over the whole side of my body. I'm gonna have to go get bleach removal therapy. More. We're gonna go full concentration now, just because this one's so stubborn. You might have an easy fence, you might have a hard fence. This one's hard. I kind of want to pressure wash this gate that we sprayed and see if we can make the gate look better now doing the bleach and then pressure washing it. What do you think? Should we do that? I think we should. So this is probably the most perfect fence that we could have chosen to show you all this, because you can see how one solution is not necessarily working as good as the other. And bleach and pool shock will work very, very well to remove mildew and mold and things of that nature, but they are not going to do anything to touch the minerals that we have on this particular fence. And that is absolutely what all this white stuff is. There's just this thick, slimy layer over all these boards. And so the only way to get through that is with the pressure washer. For your fence, you may have to try the bleach, and then if that doesn't work, like in this case, you may have to go to a pressure washer, but the first thing I would try is bleach or pool shock. Now they've got some stuff on the other side of the house over here that has not been hit by sprinklers, and I want to see if that makes a difference in how well the bleach works over there on that side of the house versus right here where the sprinklers have caused us all these problems. Let's head over there and see what we can do. This particular fence has not been hit by sprinklers. Down here it has, but this one's just all grayed out, and I think that we'll see with it all grayed out like this, that we're gonna get a much better result with the pool shock or the bleach solution. Let's try it. You can see it brightening up right there already. Just like we did at the house where it didn't have those minerals on it, we're actually seeing that brightening effect take place. Look at how it's just turning compared to these now. I mean, it's really starting to go now. We'll let that set. So what we've decided to do is let PJ wash the bleach section, and we'll see how that looks after he washes it. I just want to give you guys all the options so that you know what you're getting into. So this is far and away my favorite tip for doing this. We'll put a link to our favorite tip for doing that in the description down below. But I think it's pretty clear right now, really for this, it was going to take everything. So it took the pressure washing to get all the nasty stuff off that the bleach wouldn't touch, but clearly we're seeing now that the bleach actually helped to get it brighter. What we're going to do is we're going to come back this afternoon and see what this looks like dry. Wow, that looks great. I feel really good about this, but this afternoon I hope I feel better. It still doesn't help that terrible gate though. None of this helped that terrible gate. This whole fence really needs bulldozed all the way down. It's awful. So it's been about 6 hours since we wet this picket down, and you can tell now just the stark difference there is between the color shading and how much that's brightened that picket up and how well this worked here. And again, I surmise that's because we didn't have any of the calcium or mineral deposits built up on top of the picket like we did on the other side of the house. But now we can head over there and we'll check out those and see what those look like after they dried out and everything is no longer wet, so we can get a good idea of any shading and color that's changed. So again, with the added 6 hours and the 95-degree heat that we have here today, this is basically all dried out. Now you can see here on the grass, now that all the water's gone, just how much pulp has basically been peeled off the face of this fence. Pulp and minerals and whatever else, but that's a lot of wood fibers down there. I don't see a stark difference between that side and this side. This side, remember, we only pressure washed, and that side we have bleached and then pressure washed. I don't see a huge difference between the two. I can see now that it's all dried out that we've got more of these circle marks, and we could probably work pretty hard at getting those out if we were inclined to before we stain this. My curiosity is whether or not that would all blend in if we stain this, if you'd even be able to see that once it was all stained up. So maybe we'll save this for another video. But as of now, I think with the type of stuff that was on this particular fence, it really didn't help us to put the bleach on there, which is maybe why you test a small spot and see what's going to work the best before you go and apply it to the entire fence. Yeah, all in all, it did really bring out a really nice rich wood tone on this particular fence, and it's just interesting how differently things age depending on what species of wood that we have, the way it faces, the type of minerals and algae and other things that may grow up on the face of it. Actually, it looks halfway decent, other than that gate. That gate still does not look good. I'm Mark with SWI in Wyoming. We're Wyoming's fence company, and I screwed this up the other day. I hope you have a good dang day.